Yo, my name's Josh, aka Sub Filler. I run Sub Era, if you didn't know, and this is the first ever podcast episode of the new Sub Era podcast. So something I've been wanting to do for a long time. Really happy that we, getting this started. On this first episode, we have a Perth local legend, Skullivan, who's a producer, DJ, and he also runs an event in Perth called Swurv, if you haven't heard or seen. He's got a couple of events coming up, which is something that we talk about in this podcast episode. So if you're around in Perth this coming weekend and the following weekend, definitely go check those out. He's bringing over Overview label, and he's bringing over Skeptical, so both those are going to be pretty sick. Thanks for tuning in. So basically, in this episode, we're going to be talking about all things Skullivan and Swurv. We're talking a lot about Perth and the scene, some questions on my mind in regards to music, drum and bass, producing, DJing, a couple of deep questions in there. I hope that you guys, can enjoy this podcast and hopefully take something from it. I didn't want it to be another podcast that you see from a music guy and it's just the same old thing. I see a lot of podcasts that are just like, how do you EQ your snares and how do you work compression and stuff like that? And it's like, I just find it so boring. This podcast is going to be designed for the DJ, the producer, and just a normal music fan who just wants to get to know a bit about some of the artists out there. So we're talking all kinds of topics relating to music, but also to life, mental health, running events, making music, all that kind of stuff. So if you're into that, then enjoy the episode, lock in, let us know what you think. If you have any questions or any recommendations, please let us know. And enjoy this episode with Skullivan.
Managed to get some 1200s, some Technics 1200s. But I don't know if I was saying this in our chat the other day, but just vinyl's a pain in the ass, man. Like it takes up a lot of space. It's heavy when you've got a lot of records. You got to find somewhere to put them. It's so much more convenient these days putting your music on an MP3 and then, like a USB, and then plugging it in, and your whole record collection, all your playlists are sorted out. I mean,
exactly.
There is something nice about having the tactileness of vinyl, in my opinion. And going to a record store and your local record store back in the UK when I lived there, and searching through the latest vinyl records was kind of a thing that I used to do after college every day. I'd go down to the record shop, thumb through the latest releases, and you literally go in, flick through what you thought might sound good, and then you go and preview every track. You go and stand in the corner with 10 records or whatever, and you put them on the vinyl, the record player at the shop, because most record stores had
a thing to play
decks so that you could actually hear them. And then you'd be there'd be a yes pile, a no pile, nah, fuck that. This one sounds sick.
Most places now you can't play shit.
No.
So it's how are you meant to know? It's like you gotta have a bit of faith in what you're buying. Hope that there's something good on there.
The way people discover new music these days is so completely different. That's how literally I would hear the latest tracks if I hadn't heard them on the radio, or because the internet wasn't really a thing, or maybe Drum and Bass Arena was just starting off. We're talking 96 to 98, really early days of that stuff, and the audio quality of the sound previews on record shops online were using I don't know if you remember the thing called Real Player.
No. Yeah.
Oh my god.
What's that?
Dude, it's basically I don't know. It's just it was a plugin that ran on websites, and it was called Real Player.
Okay.
And we're talking you'd get audio previews on record sites Juno or Red Eye Records, and they'd be previews 32 kilobytes.
Yeah, right.
Or less mono.
Yeah.
Just sounded like crap.
Shit.
But that's all you had, so you didn't really have anything to compare it against. And then, if you liked it and you'd heard it and you're like, okay, cool, I'll buy that. But in the shop, there'd be white labels and all sorts of shit, stuff that didn't have any labels on it at all, and you'd listen to it and go, that's a banger, I'm gonna buy that. And you wouldn't find out what it was until much later.
Yeah, true.
So I mean, these days, like Spotify just serves you up your release radar or Discover, like
and you got Shazam and all that shit.
Shazam,
like it's crazy.
There's really very little effort.
The weirdest like new part of finding music is that most young people now are finding music through TikTok. That's the weirdest.
I don't even have TikTok, bro.
I fucking.
Have you got it?
Oh, I've got TikTok, but I use that shit like a drug. Like that
is
shit
it like the
is
ADHD
so
generation just on the TikTok?
But that's how most people find music these days. Is like obviously younger
Through a
people.
TikTok reel. 20 seconds.
Yeah. They don't go like, it's even Spotify or something. It's just I heard this on TikTok, and this is my new song. It's crazy.
How long's like? I don't have TikTok, so I don't know how it works. Like, is it like Instagram stories, or is it just like just streaming?
Like have you ever watched Instagram Reels? Like just the videos and you just scroll? Same thing. It's the exact same thing.
Like 10, 20 seconds? Are they different lengths? I mean...
Yeah, it can be. You can find videos that are like 10 minutes long on TikTok. Probably the maximum 10 minutes, but... like everything's between, I think most videos you see are like 15 seconds long. Like, and it's just haha, next, haha. And that's
just
it.
Dopamine. Hit, hit. Dude, that's a cool tune.
I could easily... And I do waste like hours on that app. Just
really,
I'm like, I've got some time to spare. I'll sit, have a coffee, and chill. And I'm just scrolling, watching, taking that shit in. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, but what a time sink, right?
Like, yeah. It's insane.
I feel like I don't know. There's a few reasons why I'm not interested in TikTok, but like it's hard enough to concentrate on things as it is, right? With Instagram and the shit that Facebook serves up to people these days.
Yeah, Facebook stuff as well.
Oh man, it's just where does this stuff come from? Like the algorithms, just whatever keeps you engaged. For the Zuck.
Yeah, exactly. They just
We're
want
all
you.
Zucks, bro. We're all fucking Zucks.
They just want you on their platform.
Literally, like just keep you there, and they'll use every trick in the book to try and do that. Like
100%. It's like, it's just insane. I need to get rid of TikTok. I've been like considering it for a long time.
You should.
Hey,
I think you should get rid of it.
I need to, but
how are you going to pay for these huge speakers, bro?
Yeah.
If you're just on TikTok,
that's it.
Flicking the dopamine beam.
No, I need to get off TikTok. I've been considering it for a while because I often have days where I'm like, but I don't have anything planned, and I just spend hours on that shit. Just
just like, do you feel like you've wasted your day? Yeah, man.
But I mean, I also know some people that do it and just have no problem with it. They just like they don't feel any guilt. They just they're just stuck into it and they have fun. Same with like games and movies and shit. Like I can get locked in and sucked into something like a game or a movie or a show or something.
Yeah.
But after like maximum 2 hours, I'm like, I need to get the fuck up and do something.
Yeah, bro. I'm similar to you. Like I feel as I've got older, like I do feel guilty when I kind of spend a lot of time watching movies or playing video games or because I feel like I should be doing something productive. And if I don't, I feel guilty about it. But then on some days I feel like that. Other days I'll be like relaxing and kind of tuning out for a bit is totally okay. And
I think it can be okay if you've like planned it and you're like maybe you've been burnt out and you're like I need to have a minute, then it's fine. Like,
definitely.
But I definitely feel guilty. I always feel like I could have spent these last few hours making music, or I could have fucking been working on that event that was meant to go up, and
working on some graphics. So I could be doing some promo reels or something
exactly
100%. Yeah, I get you, man. But like that guilt it's obviously it comes from a place for me anyway where I think like I want to get stuff done, like
exactly.
Kind of get a kick out of. Literally, I have an app on my phone which is like a list of shit I need to do.
Yeah,
I think it's called Things.
Okay, cool.
Shout out to Things. But no, it's
they're watching.
Yeah. They're sponsoring this video. No, but it literally like helps me kind of like list the stuff that I need to do today.
Yeah.
And you can put in like tasks that reoccur like every week, every day, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I get a kick out of ticking it off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
And it keeps me organised.
Does it give you any? I'm curious. This is a little bit of a to the side thing, but does it give you any? When you tick it off, does it say anything on the app that's like, well done?
No, it doesn't give you any like. They haven't really
rewards?
done any like gamification type stuff.
Yeah, because that's what I want.
Yeah, you're like a little dopamine, like you've got 10 XP for completing that task.
That's what I want. I've been talking to a mate who we all, like every month we come up with a new idea that's like going to just solve the world.
Yeah,
and we're like,
sick.
and then we never do anything about it.
You just go and watch some TikTok instead.
But one of them was I messaged him and I was like, dude, we need a fucking to-do list app that tracks your score, and every time you tick it off, it's like
you level up.
And you level up, and then you can have friends that you're competing against.
Yeah.
And like who got the most shit, or I don't know. But like you need a bit of that dopamine.
It's like gamify your life.
Yeah. Like.
But then, like, you could have a list of things that are quite hard to do.
Exactly, that's the problem.
And you've only given yourself if you got the same XP, you're gonna have to account
have a nap.
Like 5 XP. Great. You'd have to have like some sort of standard tasks that everybody can kind of put into their plan. Yeah. And they've got a fixed XP level.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's obviously that's the thing is we would talk about this and be like, yeah, it's not gonna work. But
your mate's got 1,000 XP for like taking a shit or something.
So, but I have an app that I use called Tick, and it's the same. It's called Tick. I assume they got
Tick,
the name.
I thought you said something else.
Nah, I assume they got the inspiration from TikTok.
Yeah.
But it's just a to-do list, and it's my favorite one because it connects to your emails and everything as well.
Yeah, right.
So like it's got your calendar and all that. So so I've got like a massive to-do list that I'm always working on, and it's just trying to get through it.
Yeah. Can you like schedule tasks and stuff?
Yeah. You can schedule shit. You can share tasks with other people as well. Like if you have like a partner or something, you can.
Really?
This is what I'm doing, or I don't know.
A joint tick.
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, nice.
I haven't tried it, but you can do it.
Literally, like, on my task list today, let's have a look. Go to the gym.
Did you do it?
I did do that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
Sent out the mailer for that event.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm late.
Dude, I've recently had to change my phone number, and so I've...
Really?
Yeah, and
why is that, Josh?
I'm having a problem with Optus, and so I'm in a bit of an argument.
Did they
with them.
lose your personal data to some hackers?
Probably.
Probably. Yeah.
No, but I'm in a bit of an argument with them because they overcharged me. And I was like, "Fuck you guys."
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not paying for like the next 2 months, like because it kept going on. So I was like, and they just won't fucking solve it. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah.
But then they wouldn't take the phone number and all this kind of shit.
Yeah,
so,
like,
so I was like, whatever, I'll get a new one for now.
Yeah.
And what was I saying? What were we talking about?
The phone, Optus.
Fuck.
I was talking about the list app that I've got.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fucking gone. Something about that. But anyways, fuck it. Moving on.
But you're like this discussion is on my like list of things to do today.
Yeah, exactly. I had a full fucking list on how to get the studio ready for this discussion.
Oh, really? Like, it does look very nice. It's very comfortable.
Cheers, man. Yeah.
Nice bit of airflow in here.
Good little setup. I'm pretty happy with it.
I think you've forgotten to put the lava lamp on, which is probably where you've let yourself down a bit there. So
I didn't know if I should put it on or.
I think you should.
Maybe I'll turn it on.
I think you should.
If it's
even
working.
I think that would just be like the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Or the cherry on top of the icing on the cake.
I don't know, maybe it's broken.
Oh.
Let's see. No, I think it's broken.
Oh, man.
Or maybe the lamp's died. There you go.
Well,
I'll fix it.
Fix it
for next time.
Next time.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
So, one of my questions was, you have a couple of events coming up.
Yes.
You have Overview.
Yeah.
When's that? Next weekend?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
dates
So
are?
we've got Overview Music label tour next Saturday,
Sick.
the 22nd of March.
Yeah.
That's at 201 Below.
Fuck yeah. Nice. Keen for that, man.
Yeah, man.
And then you got Skeptical. Is that like the following week?
Yeah, it's the Sunday
Damn.
following, so like
Busy.
the 30th of
Yeah.
March. So yeah, man, like super excited about both those shows. Literally, like 12 months ago, like that sort of stuff would have been a dream to kind of like lock those bookings in.
Nice.
So yeah,
Yeah, you're doing well, man.
really
Fuck it.
really happy that we were able to do it and
Yeah.
just like put all our energy into it, kind of just promoting it, doing the graphics and
Yeah.
organising everything. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
No, you're killing it. The graphics look fucking sick. I was talking
thank
to you
you,
about
man.
it before. I appreciate it. The hard work that goes into it from behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's a lot of work,
So,
as you know, like
yeah,
you know, Photoshop, and I've taught myself like After Effects in the last
Yeah,
12
yeah.
the months, the whole
Nice.
video editing, like for the reels and
Yeah.
promo videos and that, and
Nice.
like the whole Swurv thing has been something that I've wanted to do, putting on like events for the music that you know we're all passionate about for ages, and I kept talking about it for ages to people that I was talking to, and it's just felt like a natural progression for me to kind of get into it. So
Cool.
yeah, last year we had Coherent in the middle of the year. We only put one show on last year.
Yeah. Same.
But we had, busy with other stuff. So, but yeah.
Yeah, it's one of my things I wanted to talk about in terms of like your events and all that shit. Like, because last year I also only put on with Subera. We only put on one show.
Yeah.
And I was planning on putting on
that was
maybe
in
one or two
the first
this
part
year.
of the year, wasn't it? For the release.
Yeah,
VA?
for the VA release we had in February last year. So it was about exactly a year almost ago that we ran that, and then. And I had some more that I wanted to do, but life just got busy and chaotic, and so I just kind of slowed down a bit. But so you kind of had the same thing. So I was curious, especially now that you've got these two fucking big gigs coming up. How are you balancing that and life and music production and
It's actually it's been pretty like hard to balance it all, to be fair, and. I think the production side of things, particularly in the last few months, has kind of like fallen off to the side a little bit.
No, that's fair.
But and the DJing seems to have picked up as well, though. So like got a lot of gigs on in March and the start of this year, which has been good for me. Well, more gigs from my point of view. Like there's plenty of other people who get booked, a lot more. But
no, nice.
Going back to the event stuff, I think the overview stuff kind of came about through Tez at Good Karma, actually, because they put Good Karma hosted overview when they were last here.
Yeah.
And
they were just like, we sick of them?
No, not at all. I think
shout out to Good Karma.
Like Good Karma, Tez, great guys.
Yeah.
And I've been speaking to Tez for quite a while about overview, and he knows that like Swurv is all about that kind of sound, and they've just been so busy with putting all their other shows on. Like they had a huge gig at Port Beach Brewery, and I think it was
recently.
Was it Boxing Day or anyway? It was kind of end of last year.
Yeah.
And they've got a whole bunch of other stuff on, so they were like, they put me in touch with Pete from Overview.
Yeah.
And like just kind of like a bucket list kind of booking that came about, the opportunity to have Wings, Ruben and Yano in one show.
Nice.
I just wanted to make it happen, and just like I hope that the passion for the kind of music and the event kind of comes through in the brand and the sound and the way we present ourselves, because
I think it does. Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of effort
Sure.
goes into it to kind of be like, this is what we're about, and I think it is different enough to, what other promoters are doing, and we're trying to build that sound. Like Sub-Era is building that sound.
Yeah.
We're trying to do that with the Swurv stuff, and the Clarted boys we're doing great stuff for the underground. We did some stuff for them as well, and other smaller promoters are really pushing that sound, and so we locked that in, and then literally, like, speaking of the Clarted guys, like they had a whole bunch of gigs on, and they had an opportunity to book Skeptical, and they came to us actually. And,
I was like,
shout out to Ben and Chris from Clarted, legends, and like the only date that was available was that Sunday.
Yeah.
A week after the overview gig, and I was
crazy.
like, shit.
I think it'll be sick though, man. Sunday's a tough one though, but
It is, yeah.
Where are you running that one?
So same place. We were originally going to do it at Port Beach Brewery, but
201 now.
Yeah, it's 201 now. And the Sunday, I think, as a promoter, I'm sure you would say the same. Like, it's not ideal, but there are other promoters out there who are running Sunday shows and doing really well.
That's it. We ran that Sunday one.
Yeah.
Maybe like a year and a half ago or something like that.
Was it 2023?
I think so, yeah. Like a year and a half
September
ago.
23, yeah.
And that was all right. It wasn't the best, but it was a good night.
Yeah.
It was a good fun. But Skeptical will pull people, so.
Absolutely, yeah. The people who know Skeptical, and he's been around for like over a decade in the scene. And for me, like, the opportunity to book Skeptical was like a no-brainer. And even though Sunday's not an ideal day for it, for me it was just like, in fact might have told you this already, and some other people as well, like, but I was thinking about who would be my bucket list bookings for Swurv if I had an opportunity to do it. And now that I put a few shows on, done like the show ourselves last year with the Coherent, and did all the promo for it as well, and the graphics, I was kind of a bit more confident in kind of just getting it done. Yeah. And I was like, well, who would I like love to book? And I was like, Skeptical was near the top of the list. And
sick.
The next week, opportunity came out. Okay. Like, so I was like,
dude,
I've got to do it.
It brings me to.
I can't not do it.
Yeah.
Like, having thought about it the week before.
Yeah.
And then for Chris and Ben to be like, oh, hey, do you guys want to book Skeptical? Man. I was like,
sometimes it just works 100%. Out. It's crazy because, and this, one of the things that I was like, that I'm curious about, and I was like kind of curious about what you would think about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had a list of shit that I wanted to, just in case. But it reminds me of the idea, like you had this idea of, I want to get Skeptical, and then it rocks up.
It kind of manifested itself, right?
Yeah. So I've had shit like that happen where like I would say mostly in the music industry, just because I guess I don't focus on stuff that much outside of music. I'm not like, waiting for something crazy to happen in the normal world. I'm just like, I'm really focused on music shit. So I'm like, so one of my things was that, and this kind of comes to that manifestation thing of, is this shit actually like that? Are we somehow making this shit happen? Because one of my biggest things was the Alex Perez gig, the first one that I played for him.
Yeah.
And
when was that? Was that
Villa? Was Villa? I think it was 2021, maybe 2022.
Was that when there was like a big concert? Who was it? Rufus were playing.
Yeah, I think so.
At the same time.
Yeah, I think there was also some other D&B heads in the city. Playing, but I can't remember who. But
I think was that when
it was
the
a hot
Villa
box.
aircon wasn't working.
Yeah.
It was super hot in there.
I think it was 2022.
Yeah, I remember.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But that was one of those moments where I was like, that was the first time I think I've ever thought, maybe this is happening because I've done something to make it happen.
Yeah.
Whether you call that manifestation or you call it hard work or whatever, but
I see what you mean. Yeah.
But I obviously massive fan of Alex Perez.
Yeah.
and like all that kind of shit.
Of course.
But I hit up maybe over a year before that gig. I hit up Daniel from High Ground, and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, yo, like, I didn't even know him back then. I was just like, I'm a massive fan of like this kind of style of drum bass, and like I'm playing shows, and I played for like Inhibit and all that.
Yeah. So you reached out.
So I reached out to him, and I was like, and I said, in my message, I said, I know that you're close with Alex because I heard from.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, so if you ever bring him to Perth, just hit me up. Yeah, I'm so keen.
Yeah.
And he never replied to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is never gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then a year and a half, whatever later, he contacts me to play like the main slot, and I was like, what the fuck? Like,
did you talk to him about it? Did you speak to him like, oh, I messaged you about this a year ago and you didn't?
No. No, I messaged him and I never heard back. And you know, he's a busy guy, so that's all right. But and I just thought, no, it's not going to happen. And then it did, and I was like, fuck, like, this wouldn't have happened if I didn't done that. Message.
I think there's a few things to it, man. Like, my personal opinion on that stuff is like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't explicitly believe in fate.
Yeah.
But I do believe like that, you know, by putting stuff out into the world, opportunities come back to you because of your actions, indirectly or directly, and that stuff builds up over time. Yeah. So,
sure.
You know, the journey that you've been on and I've been on, obviously different journeys and that, but you're doing stuff out and about and you're putting stuff into the world, and you never know when someone kind of finds your stuff or reads that message or sees a podcast that you've done. You know, 6 months, 12 months, whenever. Because I think that the whole skeptical thing, like, what do they say? Like, you have to kind of appreciate the opportunities when they present themselves. And you've obviously prepared, like, you've put the practice in, you know, whether it's DJing or production, all that time that you put into Tractor, all that stuff pays off. But like, that opportunity came along and you're ready for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, so, you know, I've been putting a few shows on. I've been getting back into the graphics, doing teach myself After Effects for the Swurv gigs. Yeah. And then like, Overview came along, that opportunity, I was like, I'm going to do that. Yeah. And work with Pete and, you know, to get that going through Tez. Shout out to Tez. Yeah. And then, you know, the Skeptical show came up and I was like, well, if I don't do it, someone else is going to do it. Yeah. Or he's not going to come to Perth. And that would be, you know, I feel like...
Opportunity missed.
Yeah, an opportunity missed. And I felt like the universe was kind of telling me that I have to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I 100% get what you're saying.
And if you can identify that moment of like, this is your opportunity, you've got to take it.
Yeah. There's a lot of opportunities that I've taken and I'm not, I guess you could say, prepared. Yeah. But I'm just going to take it. Like, I'm going to say yes. Yeah. Because...
Maybe you're not 100% ready yet, or you don't feel ready for it. But the universe is kind of saying to you...
Yeah, exactly. That's
this is going to level you up.
Yeah.
You know?
And, like, there was some quote... I don't remember the quote, but there was...
Just make it up. No one cares. Just make it up.
It was something that I
Josh
watched...
said...
It was something... it sounded like I was about to be profound, but... no, it was something that I watched or heard, and it was basically about, like, taking opportunities. Yeah. Just say yes. I think it was Richard Branson, now that I'm starting to remember. Yeah. I think he said, which I am nowhere near that guy in terms of wealth, but he was talking about how he's a guy that was just like, if an opportunity arises, I just say yes, even if I don't know what the fuck I'm about to do. Yeah. It's just like, I'm just going to say yes and I'll figure it out later. Right. So, and I heard that like so long ago. Yeah. And then I kind of just used that mentality with the music stuff. And I was like when the Inhibit hits you up for the first gig and you're like, I'm so fucking scared to do it, but you're like, fuck yeah, I'll take it. Yeah. And 100%. And then you're like, I'll figure it out later. Or when you go and play Exit in Bunbury and you're like, I'll say yes.
Mate, you said yes and you learnt from it.
Yeah, exactly. So
I think all these things are learning opportunities, right? Yeah. So obviously you're into self-improvement and kind of wanting to level yourself up and improve your skills and kind of progress or whatever, you know, because that's an intrinsic thing that you have motivation to do. Yeah. So, exactly. Yeah, man, like...
Yeah, so...
I get it.
I think sometimes you just get those opportunities that rock up, and you just got to take it.
You have 100% have to take those opportunities, and
yeah,
I was scared, like to an extent, like okay, I haven't hosted someone as big as Skeptical before.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility when you're hosting someone. Like the first time I booked international was Truth.
I went to that show. I was there.
Yeah, cool. And I don't know how long ago it was, but a couple of years, and that was scary because it's not just booking a gig anymore. It's now you're responsible for this guy in your city. You know, and you've got to move him around and drive him, and you've got to get a hotel, and it's crazy. Like feed it's a lot. You got to feed them. You got to
make sure they're having a good time.
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility to put on yourself.
But also, you want the gig to be good as well, right? Yeah, like you know, you want people to attend. You don't want it to kind of fall flat. No, you want the sound to be good. You want everything to kind of like come together. Yeah. But I get it.
It's a lot, but you know, you power through and you figure it out. You know, so and I'm sure every other gig that you've thrown with international has been great. So I'm sure these will be sweet, man. Yeah.
I like I said before, I hope the passion for what we're doing comes through in the event and the vibe of the event. You know, I'm not doing this to like make crazy profits. We're doing it because we want to push that sound. And,
no, I think everyone can see that. Because there's definitely some events out there that I won't name anything, but that you can tell the motives behind it.
The dollars, yeah. I mean, look. At the end of the day, if the venue and the artist and the vibe of the event is good,
then who cares?
Sure. I think ours is kind of like a bit of a, and it sounds cheesy as hell, but like the underground D&B scene in Perth is, I would say, is really strong and healthy. And if people who perhaps only just got to hear about D&B through perhaps a more popular kind of brand of drum and bass, and they can scratch the surface and see the depth of the music. That's kind of like...
That's what you want.
That's what we want, 100%.
I've had a lot of people that have messaged like sub-era and been like, you know, I've only been doing it for like a year, and I started with Jump Up, but now I'm finally figuring out this deeper roller stuff. It's like, fuck yeah.
I think there's a journey for people in that as well. Like, if I listen to some of the stuff that I think introduced me to D&B, there's like absolutely no way that I would like ever, you know, play that.
That's true.
We've all got taste. Your tastes evolve, man.
Yeah, exactly, man. And it can evolve from other genres. Like I was saying earlier, like I started out DJing with house. And it just techno house and stuff. And
deep house or more like, you know.
Very deep house stuff. A lot of
like 18-minute tracks with a 4-minute intro.
I was heavy into Deadmau5. So that was like deep progressive house stuff, which was like some of his songs are like 8 minutes and but I just the main thing that got me into that was his music, although it was electronic and had energy and stuff, and all that, it also had emotion in it somehow, and it was like something that progressed. The song got better and better, and the feeling got more intense, and you know, so I just really dig that at the time. And it was around the 2010 era, which is when Deadmau5 peaked. And just like was everywhere. And it was just before dubstep fucking rocked up, I think, and
just before dubstep, before Skrillex.
Before Skrillex. And and I just loved that, like somehow this new stuff, which was sick, like new sounds that you've never heard, but then at the same time had this emotion behind it that you could feel and connect with, and it was like so it reminded me a lot of like when I was younger and I was listening to like old school kind of rock stuff, and and
like what kind of bands were you listening to when you were young?
I was listening to a lot of like Soundgarden. I fucking love Soundgarden, Chris Cornell and all that. And that, because that stuff is like, and Nirvana and all that, like just because
old punk stuff as well.
Because it was like, it had that punk element to it, but it had these like just deep chords in there that just seemed different to everything else to me. And that's what really struck me, was more than lyrics, like the chords struck me more than anything. I was just like, I could feel this fucking vibration.
Yeah.
and I found that in Deadmau5, and I was like, what? Like this is similar. And then as you progress and then as you get older and like you learn more about music and you start listening to other stuff, you're like, oh, it's actually everywhere. You just got to find it.
Yeah.
And that's obviously where drum and bass also comes in, because there's a lot of liquid that's like that, and
oh man,
like, soulful shit.
The depth of the genre is pretty incredible. Like
it's crazy.
All under the drum and bass kind of label. You can find like all types of variations and sonic palettes within the genre itself. Yeah. Like so diverse that you've got Caliber on one end and then what's on the other end, like at the moment.
K9.
Like whoever's kind of like
just hardcore
pushing that sound out. Yeah. Mackie G or something. Like, shout out to Jezza.
No, exactly. Like, but yeah, like the point of what you're saying was when you first, like, what first got you into drum and bass and all that is different to what you'd be listening to and playing now. Like the first thing that I got into, like I say, I started my electronic journey with Deadmau5.
Yeah.
And then I'm
sure a lot of people did.
Yeah. Then I got into, this is around the age, I think I was 15, and I started doing a bit of drugs, and I was getting to know people and having fun, and then I was like, oh, what's this shit? Oh, it's the Prodigy. Oh, what?
Yeah.
And then, oh, Pendulum. Oh, what?
Yeah.
And then I found Netsky, or Netsky, however you pronounce it. I always say Netsky.
Yeah.
But
I think that's been like a long debate. Topic, hasn't it? Like,
I think it's Netsky. He calls himself Netsky, and I disagree. But
you disagree with him?
Yeah.
He's wrong.
But
absolutely wrong.
Once I heard his shit, Netsky, that was when I was like, I like this drum and bass stuff. Like, because that was the first thing I heard that wasn't like full just energy, like full intense stuff like Pendulum and Prodigy was. Prodigy is fucking sick. Pendulum's sick.
Yeah.
But it's a different thing. And that was more about, at that time for me, it was more about, going to party and just having a fucking crazy night.
Yeah.
And but then Netsky was like, oh, I can listen to this shit while I'm walking to my friend's house 50 fucking miles away.
Or
and
just like doing stuff around the house or like chilling out. Like.
Well, this was like 2010-ish or 2011 or something like that, and maybe I think something like that. I was in South Africa when I figured it out.
Yeah.
And I was a kid, so I was like 15 or something back then, and it might have been 2009 or something, I don't know. And I need to check my calendar.
Yeah.
But so it was back when like you didn't have like Bluetooth headphones or anything, so it wasn't like a thing to listen to around the house. It was just you would hear it at parties and shit, and at people's houses and stuff, and
I
and you'd have like a sound system.
Spotify wasn't a thing back then, was
it?
So I think iTunes Music might have been around then.
Yeah, I think I had an iPod, and that was about it.
Yeah.
But even before that, I had a fucking like a Walkman and shit, and
What, like a cassette Walkman?
No, like a CD one.
Oh, yeah. It's like
the futuristic one,
the CD Walkman, yeah.
Yeah.
I had one of those too.
And I did a lot of walking as a kid, like walking to my friend's house, like 50 fucking kilometers away.
Where was this, like in Johannesburg?
No, this is in Cape Town, in South Africa, Cape Town. So, pretty dangerous, but still safe.
Walking around as a child.
Cape
Town.
It was some bad decisions, but I did a lot, and all my friends lived quite far. So, and back then it was like your parents didn't want to drive you anywhere. They were just like, fuck off, like go walk, man. Like, you got legs.
Get some exercise.
Yeah, so
God's given you legs. Make use of them.
And I had a skateboard, so that was my main transport was skating. So I'd skate.
And you listened to like Netsky on the way
there. Yeah.
And you were like, this is kind of a bit like, so that was a gateway for you.
Yeah. I think that was my first. Yeah. That was my first. Netsky was the first proper drum and bass that I started listening to.
Yeah. Okay.
There's Memory Lane track. It's still one of my faves, and from all the way back then.
Put it on. I haven't heard it.
Yeah. Damn.
Well, I mean, I probably have, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
I might just take a break.
Yeah, go for it.
Just 1 second.
No, go for it.
Be back in 1 minute. All right, where are we at?
We are listening to Netsky, Memory Lane.
Sick music too.
Yeah, this is old one, man. Like Hospital Records.
What year is it, man?
I don't know. 2010. There you go.
Wow.
April 2010.
How old are you then?
turned 30 this year.
Did you really?
No, I will.
Oh, you will? You're not even 30
in
yet?
September, yeah. 29 right now.
Man.
I'm feeling it. Getting old.
Mate, you got no excuse.
I was 15, yeah. Just doing the math.
Yeah, okay.
15.
Wow.
In South Africa is when I found it.
Yeah.
Because, well, actually, we'll let it play a little bit and then we'll talk, just so we don't get copyrighted or some shit.
Interesting, like, because Netsky is really, for me, like, I wouldn't call him an old school artist. Like,
yeah, right.
You know,
yeah.
to me, he's not like.
Yeah.
He kind of came. Much
yeah, he was late.
and,
yeah.
You know,
he was later than like Pendulum and all that shit. Like,
yeah.
But just for me, it was that was when I rocked up, and first heard drum and bass.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, you know. But I think if I didn't find Netsky at the time, I probably wouldn't have got into it because, like,
do you reckon?
Yeah, because I wasn't into. Like, even with the Prodigy and Pendulum stuff, that was like more high energy shit,
right?
And I wasn't in. I'm still not into that high energy stuff. Like,
yeah.
I never go into like metal, or I never go into like, you know, I am into like more melodic type of stuff and shit that I can sit and chill out with. And most of the time I was high, smoking a joint, like listening to that shit. So it was like, you know, just this is dope. You know?
Yeah, that's fair.
And you know, so. Yeah, that was like the start of it, and then, but yeah, and then that kind of opened my world to other stuff. And
D&B,
nowadays, I don't really listen to him, to Netsky, because it's a bit more on the commercial side these days.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was doing you know, sell out stadium tours and stuff, wasn't he?
Crazy,
like,
yeah.
A bit like Dimension and
Focus
and those guys, you know.
I'm curious who pulls a bigger crowd. Him or Netsky or Dimension and them, because
I have no idea.
It's a good point, because I mean, I think Netsky's had more of a commercial breakthrough, because he had tracks with like Lil Wayne and shit.
Oh, did he?
So
I don't really listen to that stuff, so I wouldn't know. But I think they're all kind of in that arena level D&B type stuff.
For sure.
But if that acts as like a gateway for people to start questioning, like, oh, this is awesome, like, I love the energy of this music, like, what else is out there?
Yeah, exactly.
Just like I said, peeling below the surface, there's so much stuff bubbling away.
And back then, it wasn't like Spotify where you could be like suggested underneath what else can you go
similar
find.
To, and like, here's the playlist of all their like mega hits and that.
Yeah. And the other thing is, with drum and bass, that you couldn't find that in the shop back then, in South Africa at least. You probably could have in the UK. But in South Africa, you couldn't go to a fucking CD shop and find that or any vinyl on drum and bass, as far as I was aware. And
in 2010.
Yeah, 2010, 2008, somewhere around there.
Proper underground. Yeah.
And because that was the underground shit coming through where we were.
Yeah.
So that was the way I found music back then. Was I had friends and family and stuff, like an uncle of mine who. I pretty much grew up with him, so he's only a few years older. Yeah. And we would hang out all the time and party together and have friends and stuff. And I would get all of my music from him. So he would have like some DJ friends, and they would give him like a CD of new shit that they found, and they're like, don't tell. And they had this whole thing of like, don't tell anyone where I got this from. You can't tell. You're all you're allowed to know is like what artist this is and what song it is. Yeah. And you couldn't Google and be like, because it wasn't online, so it was mostly like dub plates but on CDs. Yeah, right. So we would get past these like these CD kind of mixtapes or whatever you want to call it, and I would just play it, and I had no way to get it. So I would just have to always play this fucking CD. Yeah, yeah. You know, so I didn't even know what drum and bass was. I was just listening to it, and I couldn't figure it out. And, you know, and then obviously later in life, like when you get a little bit, I was probably like 16, 17 when I figured it all out and had some more friends in the scene.
It's easy to find new music now, but there's so much music out there. It's hard to kind of get it standing out. But like, I mean, we talked about this when we were having that little catch up the other day. Yeah. For me, like, I think my introduction to kind of electronic music, and finally, like, I found my way to D&B was initially like through the like old Rave tape packs that my brother had of you know, old One Nation and Dreamscape and World Dance. Like the DJs that they were obviously recording their sets on, and they would create these cassette tape packs where you get 8 or 10 cassettes, literally.
Recorded at once.
Well, they'd all be like from that evening, and the promoter would record the set like during the event.
Yeah.
And we're talking like early to mid 90s, right? And they would create these tape packs, and then like a month after the event, if you went down to your local like underground record store, they would have like tape packs kind of behind the counter or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And
of people's mixes.
Like basically like the set with like Mickey Finn and Aphrodite.
Would they sell it? I assume.
Huh?
They sold it. I
assume.
They
made like shitloads of these like tape packs, and then literally like they would record the whole set. So I went to like Helter Skelter for like New Year's Eve 1999. Yeah. 2000, you know, like the year 2000, the millennium, right, the millennium rave, and it cost me £100 a ticket. It cost me.
Yeah, right.
We got on a bus to Milton Keynes.
That's expensive for back then.
Yeah, man. And I was like 18, 19 years old. I was like, you know, that was all the money I had. Yeah. And we went down there, but yeah, they would record the sets, and like Andy C and MCGQ and you know, Nicky Black Market, like anyone in D&B
was there. Yeah.
Now Fabio Groove Rider, everybody was there.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were playing tunes like The Beginning by Moving Fusion and Alien Girl.
Yeah, right.
All those heavy hitting tunes, but everyone was playing pretty much like, I reckon 75% of the same music.
Shit. Oh, right.
But you know,
well, I mean the what's the word? The pool that you could take music from back then wouldn't have been limited. So
yeah, and the whole dub plate culture around at that time as well. Like,
so that makes sense compared to now, where people are still playing the same shit, but they've got unlimited choice.
Yeah, yeah. But it's I think before I got into that, like tape packs, like I used to steal my brother's tape packs, and you know, I remember particularly there was a rave tape pack with like MC Majika and Carl Cox. This is like Carl Cox was playing like hardcore rave music before he kind of moved more into like the house stuff. So he was on the same lineup as like Fabio and Groove Rider. Carl Cox.
That's sick.
And I don't know, anyone who's watching, even yourself, Josh, I don't know, check out some of the old rave tapes. Like it is like break beat, but also there's like a 4/4 beat underneath it. Yeah, like that. Happy hardcore type of shit. But like a bit slightly darker. Some of it was like happy stuff, but then
unhappy hardcore.
well, there was still some like cheesy stuff, but happy hardcore was certainly a different sound in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't think of the fucking name, but is that not what it was, or was it just called hardcore back then?
No, it's. I think
was it just drum bass?
What I remember, even being as I don't know, I reckon I was probably 10 or 12, like maybe 10 or 11, maybe younger than that, and my brother always used to call it like hardcore or just rave music. And then the first breakthrough act for me that everybody started to kind of listen to and you started to hear on the radio a little bit more was the Prodigy Experience.
Yeah,
you know, the White Album.
Yeah.
So anyone who's watching this, definitely go and listen to some of that old Prodigy stuff. I don't know, like bring it up. Have you got Spotify?
Yeah.
The first 2 albums from the Prodigy for me are like the best ones, but that's just probably me showing my age. But if you listen to like the Prodigy Experience,
I think I really got onto in that.
The white one.
The Jilted Generation was the one I think I heard first.
Yeah. The Jilted Generation was like 1994, and so before that, like 91 Prodigy Experience.
What do you want me to play?
Yeah, everyone probably has heard Outer Space.
Tune. Yeah.
But even some of the other stuff like Fire, Rough in the Jungle, Death of the Prodigy Dancers. Like my brother was, I had this on vinyl and was playing it on my dad's like little hi-fi system, and me and my brothers as little kids were like jumping up and down around the living room listening to this stuff. Yeah.
Well, let's play it and then we'll talk in a minute. Yeah, that's sick.
Like they really took you on a journey. Those tunes, like they have an intro, then they have like part A, part B, part C, part D.
Yeah, like an actual song.
Yeah, but they didn't go back to like now you kind of have like intro, drop, another breakdown, then a second drop, and then like an outro for D&B, right?
Yeah.
This is like
it was all
they
over.
just took you on that journey from start to finish, and it was kind of it kept it evolving.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah, the music's changed like
So
a fuck there,
much.
man. In terms of just the format and like the structure of stuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Because nowadays people are releasing 2-minute fucking songs. You know, it's insane. It actually pisses me off a lot of the time because I'll be like listening to something and it's like cut down so you don't have an intro anymore.
Yeah.
And then it's 20 seconds drop and then it's just a long ass fucking drop, 10 seconds of a gap and then back to another drop and then it ends without an intro, without an outro. Yeah. And it's like, what the fuck? Like,
like in terms of D&B, you mean? Like,
yeah, drum and bass.
Yeah, some of them like are almost feel like unfinished sometimes when you hear them. And you're like, okay, 16 bar intro, you got maybe 64 or 48 bar first drop, 16 bar breakdown, and then 32 bar second drop, and that's it. Yeah,
and then it ends. and it's not even like a proper outro anymore. It's just fucking reverb.
It's almost because like the attention span is like
for sure.
So
but that's where TikTok comes in, man.
Like,
that's where TikTok comes in. It's everyone's attention is down the drain. It's I think it was Harrison that was talking about where he was working before when he had to make those videos. It was like he said that they had like 2 seconds to get people's attention.
Yeah, you got to do something in the first. And I've seen that actually on like the reels and stuff for the adverts we run for our shows, and like the drop off. You know, we've got a number of different like videos we've created, but like the drop off is pretty standard. Yeah. But like 75% of people don't watch past the first 3 seconds anyway. Yeah. No. So you could put so much effort into doing like a 30-second video that maybe 10 people are going to watch. Yeah. And it's crazy. The first 10,000 people only watch the first 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's insane because it blows my mind because 2 seconds, 3 seconds is not long. So it's like,
how can you convey any sort of meaningful message to people in 3 seconds? But like people just want that dopamine hit, and if you don't give it to them,
it's just getting worse. I feel like in the future it's just going to be everything's just a 5-second subliminal message. Like video.
Have you noticed on like Facebook these days, and you see the reels? Yeah, they come up in your feed, and then it plays the first like 2 seconds, and then it stops before something happens. Have you noticed that? Where it's literally like two or 3 seconds.
Oh, like just as you're scrolling or something?
Yeah, and it comes down, and if you watch it,
it's trying to like bait you into watching it.
It baits you into, because you see it and you're like, well, what's happening there? And you're like, fuck, that's annoying. I can't see what happens. And that, I reckon, draws you into wanting to click it. 100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
a lot of videos now are edited like that.
It's devious. Like they want to, like you said before, they're trying to hook you in. And like, have you seen? Like on Facebook, they're trying to push the whole Threads thing. You know, the alternative to Twitter that they have, right? And they'll show you, I reckon, absolutely on purpose.
Right.
Cut down so you can't see what all the text is.
Yeah. And they'll show you like half a photo.
And then you accidentally click on it because you want to see it because you can't see the whole thing. Yeah. And then you're like, download Threads. You're like, fuck off. You know? I don't want to. I feel baited all the time on these social media platforms, man. It's
Threads
horrible.
It's so shit. I downloaded Threads because it was like one of those things that popped up when it came out, and I was like, okay, so
another platform to control you.
Fuck, like, because I think like for artists or like people who do music and events and shit, social media for us is very different to a normal person, because I hate social media really, besides TikTok, because I'm addicted to that. But I wouldn't even call that social media. That's just videos of entertainment.
Mate,
like
it's social media, like,
but
it's social media. You sound like you're trying to justify your
quit
addiction.
Anytime.
I'm not addicted, man. I'm not addicted. I only watch like 7 hours a day.
but like I would say, like Facebook is more social media because it's more about interacting with people and stuff compared to that. But anyways, but if I wasn't doing music and if I wasn't running events and stuff, I think I would have gotten off of at least Facebook and Instagram.
It's kind of a necessary evil, isn't it? Like, to
like,
keep your eye on what's going on, and
like because otherwise you've got to try and find an audience somehow. So it's like if you're trying to push your latest song, and you got to get it out somehow, you know. So it's like if you just release it to Spotify and don't do anything, it's not going to go anywhere. So that's why I'm kind of stuck in that like, fuck, I hate Facebook, but I also...
Yeah.
So that's why I downloaded Threads when it came out, because I was like, if this is the new thing, I've got to get on it before, because I missed out with TikTok and all that. Right. So I was like, I didn't download it for like 3 years until like 2 years ago. So I was like, that shit's gonna pass. Like I'm not into that, whatever.
Yeah.
And then
now you're...
And then eventually, But so I was like, I'm not gonna miss that again, because what happened at the start of TikTok was they had a completely different algorithm.
Yeah.
And they had a much better system where if you were just some dude and you posted just a video of your cat, it could go viral.
Yeah.
Now you can't do that really, unless like you can, still a chance, but now it's a lot more about promoting yourself and paying for it and
all that. Like, Facebook's like the reach that I see big artists, big pages, like record labels or events companies that have got big followings. They seem to often lament how hard it is to get any reach on an organic Facebook post. Yeah. So I think,
I think the more you grow your Facebook or Instagram pages, the harder it is for you to get reach, unless you pay.
Yes, I reckon they obviously throttle your reach. Yeah. Unless you pay for it, otherwise, how are they going to make money, right? Yeah. They get it from selling adverts.
100%. Yeah.
And whereas before, like TikTok was, I think people were saying like a few years ago that TikTok was more organic. Like you could post something just as a regular person.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And it could go viral.
Yeah.
Whereas Facebook's like, not unless you pay.
Yeah, and now it's the same for TikTok. And
is it the same? Like
pretty much.
Pay to get reach.
Pretty much. Like
unless you like trying to hack the algorithm.
Yeah, unless you're like, I'm going to use the most famous song that's trending, and I'm going to do the trend that everyone's doing, and I'm going to unless you're doing that.
Do you think that's like a big part of this kind of bootleg culture that you're seeing in D&B now as well? Like
what's that?
Like a lot of up and coming D&B like artists, producers who want to get noticed will pick the latest bootleg to get views.
Oh, 100%.
Purely to get reach.
Yeah. That's what pissed me off about it is because their intention behind why they're doing it
get eyeballs
is to get views, and that's what annoys me is because you've completely lost the art in that, and there's no, and that's why everything's starting to sound the same, because it's just people are just paying for and downloading like a preset pack, and it's like a frog bass pack, and then they take the latest song that's kicking off on the radio, and then they remix it,
put it through like an AI stem separator.
They probably got an AI that makes a song for them as well. I don't know, but but they're like, and then they just go, let's chuck a couple frogs on that, and and then it fucking goes off. Yeah, it's the same thing, but
like a frog in a sock. Jesus Christ.
But it's the same thing, and it's 100% just for views, man. Like,
but you can't kind of like on one hand you can't blame them because they're kind of like that's all they know, right? Like so.
True.
And they're just trying to get noticed.
Yeah. Everyone just wants a bit of love.
Yeah, it's true, man. But I hear what you're saying. Like I'd rather not. Personally, I don't really have any interest in kind of like creating a bootleg of the latest kind of chart-topping hit to kind of get views. But I can understand why some other people might do that if they want to go down that route. Yeah,
I get it from a business point of view, if you want to call it that. Yeah. From an attention point of view, like I get it, 100%. Yeah. But it's just not me. It's not. I just can't do it. I've only remixed maybe 2 songs in my life. Yeah. That I've like put out. Yeah. And
they weren't bootlegs.
Nah. Well, I think one of them might have been a bootleg. I can't remember. But no, actually, no, they're not. They're both.
It's a bootleg.
Actually, one is a bootleg. One was an official remix, but the one that was a bootleg, I got permission to put out. But it wasn't an official like signed remix. But they were like, "I'll let you put it out as a bootleg."
It's kind of like an endorsed.
Yeah. Like. So it wasn't, but it wasn't as bad as "Let me steal your song" and. Because I wasn't going to put it out unless they agreed. Right. I wanted it to be signed. Yeah. But they were like, no, the label's not doing any remixes for this. It was a hip hop group. Yeah. But they were like, thanks, but we'll give you permission to put it up.
Oh, that's cool.
Stuff. So that was cool. So that was the only time I've ever done like a bootleg. But
yeah, it wasn't like a chart-topping hit at the moment.
No.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying was, I've never had that interest or motivation to be like, oh, I want this to be a selling fucking charter.
Yeah.
I heard a song that I was like, this hit me, and I was like, this needs some drum and bass behind it.
Right. Yeah.
And so I wanted to put my kind of spin on that, and it wasn't at all about who was going to listen to it, or it was just about me enjoying that track and expressing myself with that remix, and that's what it should be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you're going to do something like
it's all like depends on what you're trying to achieve, isn't it? Like if you want to like develop yourself as an artist with your own kind of original music first and foremost, then going after a chart-topping bootleg may not be your kind of route that you want to take.
Dude, a lot of people have told me, like my wife, my friends have been like, just fucking remix a fucking thing and sell out. And I'm like, fuck off. I'm not selling out.
That's it.
I can't do it. It pisses me off so much. Like,
but I mean, you could do it.
Oh yeah, I could. Yeah,
but you wouldn't want to do it.
No, I don't.
Because that's like you.
Yeah,
you're not that way inclined.
There's nothing in it for me. There's no artistic journey in that, or any kind of
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, like what is kind of creating art, and the whole intrinsic motivation to create stuff.
I think the other thing is like I think a lot about the future, like my future.
Yeah.
And what am I going to be happy with when I'm old?
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things I think that you could have your integrity on one side where you're like, at least I've made something that I'm proud of.
Yeah.
So that's one thing.
100%.
And then there's another part is when I'm 80 years old, am I going to listen to this? Right? Or am I going to be like, I'm old and I do not want to listen to this party shit. Like, so that's why a lot of my music, I make a lot of liquid, right? And a lot of like down tempo beats and shit.
Yeah.
I feel like that's stuff that some of it you can, I still have rollers out there that you can go and dance to, but a lot of it's liquid. And I feel like even when I'm old, I'm still going to be listening to liquid.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's something that I'm making I'm going to be proud of still when I'm old.
When you say old, like how do you define old?
Well, I'm currently old. No,
I'm already there.
Yeah, I'm 29, but as the years go on, you start thinking about it. But no, I'm saying like
that's actually an interesting thing because I've never really like gone, am I going to listen to this in 20 years time? Like I'm certainly not. I don't think about that when I'm trying to create something now.
Yeah, I mean,
that's an interesting take on it. Like,
I don't sit down and be like, while I'm making this and be like, am I going to like this in 20 years? I just mean, I think before I put something out, I'm like, am I happy with this? Am I actually proud of this? I
see what you mean. Yeah.
It might not be the best mixed version of it because I'm learning as I go still. But there's stuff that I'm looking back now, like stuff that I've released, and I'm like, I actually like that release, so I'm happy that I put that out.
Yeah. I see
and that was only 5 years ago or something, so it's like, I'm happy about that. But if I just churned out music, bootleg after bootleg, and then there's no some of the stuff also has like a memory attached to it or something. Like maybe it was some form of expression or something.
Yeah. Or what was going on in your life at the time and reminds you of the time in your life. Yeah.
So that's
different sort of artist though. Completely different sort of artist.
Yeah.
For sure. There's people who produce because they want to be DJs and they want to be famous, and they want to like tour and they want all the stuff that goes with it. But then
I guess that was one of my questions that I wanted to ask you was like what is your goal right now? But what was your goal and what is your goal?
Like in terms of music?
In terms of getting into music, production, DJing, playing shows, was it party kid, wanted to be cool?
Not really.
or an expression of your art?
I think, I started kind of messing around, like trying to make beats and stuff, probably when I was like 15 or 16, we had this like old computer and there was some crappy software on it, like an arrangement, kind of a MIDI orchestra. I think it was called MIDI orchestra or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And like there wasn't any plugins or anything like that. It was just something you had to set up these things called sound fonts. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
No.
And so you'd have to like get all your samples. So I'd spend hours like finding breakbeat samples, and I had this thing. I had a separate piece of software called like, I don't know, what was it called, like Wave Slicer or something, SoundForge, that type of stuff. And you slice the beats up manually, right? Like you know how like Ableton kind of cuts your breakbeat up into like slices for you.
Slice it to MIDI.
At transients and stuff. Like manually do all that.
Yeah, right.
Save them and then bring them into this little thing. And then you could like play them in a MIDI key. It would take like ages.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, oh, cool, I can create my own drum pattern. And then I think that just kind of evolved. We're talking like, I don't know, like mid to late 90s. And I kind of got involved in more tracking software. But I was doing a bit of DJing on my brother's decks at the time. And I was at school, and there was, I've probably told you this before, but there was like a school disco that couldn't happen one day. And I was like, I'll do it. I'll put the school disco on.
Yeah,
and so I put a little flyer together on the school computers.
The first ever Swurv event.
Literally, yeah. And I booked myself to play, as you know, standard.
Yeah.
But literally, like I convinced my brother, because he'd just finished uni, to come down to the school and like bring his decks. And I had to organise the PA system from school, so I had to go and get that organised. I didn't pay anything, but I was like, I'll put it on, I'll promote it, put flyers around the school, told everyone about it, and then like they let me do it. And so this was like specifically trance was massive at the time, and D&B wasn't quite as big, but I loved my D&B, and I was forcing all my mates to listen to D&B at the time of like tunes such as Killer Bees by Usual Suspects. I don't know if you heard that one on Renegade Hardware. That was a tune that stood out, like the original Killer Bees, not the Inside Info remix. That was around the time. And on the other flip side, all my people in my year at school loved trance music. So think like Art of Trance, Madagascar, Guriella, like Ferry Corsten, ATB, 9 p.m. Till I Come, that tune, like all that was massive back then. So my brother like came down, I don't know, it was a Friday night or something, to school, and we set up like the sports hall. It was a relatively small little, it was like a basketball court size place. And he had his decks up, we set the decks up, and we had some like rudimentary lighting. And we just cranked out like trance and drum and bass for like 4 or 5 hours. Literally like I got such a buzz out of it, man. I loved it. And
that's cool.
So, you know, I did a set, my brother did a set, we played like all this trance music.
Nice.
I even had some of my stuff that I like produced at the time, because I was making tunes at home. And I'd recorded them onto a mini disc. So my brother had a mini disc player, and I like took that down. We plugged that into the mixer. So I was just playing them off the mini disc.
And
then I would like, you know, if I had some vinyl, I'd mix it on vinyl into a mini disc. And
sick.
I loved it so much, and that memory stayed with me for a long time. And then that's why I wanted to get back into events at some point. So when I kind of got back into the scene in Perth, really like I said before, like 2019, 2020, something like that, and really wanted to like pursue the DJing again and the music production again, to kind of relive that passion that I had as a younger adult. So
that's it.
It's always kind of been in there in the back of my mind, like I want to get back into it. And so now I feel like I've skilled up in some ways in terms of the graphics and the music production and that.
For sure. And especially compared to back then in school.
Oh, absolutely. I was still using like Photoshop or whatever, but you know, the software is so much more powerful now. Like Ableton, compared to the stuff that I was using to create rudimentary like breakbeats or whatever together back then, was it's so much more powerful.
World.
Like it is like another world. And I used to remember, like, actually, this is a funny story. Like back in the day, I made this tune, and it was called Isotope. And I made this tune on this tracking software called Buzz Tracker.
Yeah.
And like literally, I don't know if everyone's ever used tracking software, but it's like it's not like Ableton.
Yeah.
And but you can.
I've seen videos of how people did it. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I've never used it.
But it was cool because like you had these like plug-in type things that you could arrange in this view that this software had, and like filters and EQs and reverbs and stuff and samplers. You could plug them all in, and you actually literally have to like drag a line.
Yeah, move the cables and stuff.
Yeah, literally. It wasn't like Reason. It was a bit more basic than Reason.
I used Reason. That was the first one I started on.
Yeah. It was like even more basic than that, but similar, right? And you had to connect it all up, and then you had to create a piece of music.
Yeah.
And I recorded it onto a mini disc, and I went down to a in the UK at the time. This is probably like 1999. There was a big club in Bournemouth, which is a town in the south of the UK, and me and my mates went to a this club. It was called the Opera House.
Oh, cool.
In Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And it was basically like an old opera house, right?
Yeah.
And they had two rooms. They had the main room, and that night they were playing trance. So like, I don't know if you've heard of DJs like Judge Jules.
No.
Big trance DJ in the late 90s.
I never really got into trance. I got into a bit of
you were
psy
too young
trance.
for it, bro. Like
Cape Town had a big trance scene.
Yeah.
Massive trance scene.
Yeah.
More like psy trance type of shit.
Yeah.
But I listened to a few tracks, but I didn't really get that into it. Yeah.
But it was massive, bro. Like literally, like, I don't know. You could go like 1990s trance classics, and all those tunes were getting played out massively on mainstream radio, like Radio 1. And anyway, so they had a trance room where all my mates were interested in going, and they had a drum and bass room off to the side, and it was like,
fuck it.
That was cool. Where I was going, right?
Yeah.
And that I remember that night there was, I can't remember exactly who was playing, like in terms of the whole list, but DJ Fresh from Bad Company was playing, and I was like, I'm going to go and watch DJ Fresh.
Yeah.
Because this was like peak Bad Company, right?
Yeah.
This is like Inside the Machine, just around that time when they were like huge.
Yeah.
And Fresh was like creating all these amazing tunes. And so I was there like throwing shapes at the front, like to the new drum and bass. And it was around, I remember specifically there was a tune like had just come out on Ram Records, the EP, the Titan EP had just come out. And the title track from Titan, it's called Titan.
Oh, right.
Amazing tune.
Yeah.
Check it out. Really awesome.
I don't think I've heard it.
High energy. Like I love that old school. It's old school now, but it was cutting edge. Ram Trilogy Titan. Anyway, and he was playing that. I remember I'd taken my mini disc with me of these couple of tracks.
Yeah.
And I
gift them or
literally. So I was like, fuck it, I've nothing to lose here.
Yeah.
Put my mum and dad's like house phone number on it.
Yeah.
And I leant over the DJ booth and I gave him this mini disc.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, I'm never going to hear from him, like, but fuck it.
Yeah,
I've done it. And
then you got signed. And
not quite. But what happened was though, like I was at college like a week after in town and had a mobile phone and that. Yeah. And my mum basically like she called me and she goes, there's a message on the phone from somebody called DJ Fresh. And I was like, fuck off.
Yeah.
She goes, yeah, like he wants you to give him a call.
That's
so
sick.
like yeah, man, like
you should go try. I mean, it's way too late now, but you should have fucking recorded that message of his. And
bro, he sounded. I think he was like high or something when he left the message because he's like, oh yeah. So my like producer name was Phonics.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
With a PH because that's cool.
And
an X, Phonics.
Yeah.
And
I get it.
Literally, like, I was like so buzzed.
Yeah.
That he'd listened to this track, and so we had a bit of back and forth, like a couple of times, like we spoke and that, and he was interested for me to like send him more music, but then I kind of moved out to Australia.
Ah, right.
And then kind of it fell by the wayside for a bit. But
yeah. So what did he? Did you actually speak to him or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I had his mobile number for a bit, and
that's sick.
I was like that annoying little kid who was like, "Oh, hey, DJ Fresh, like, what's going on?" Like,
fuck yeah.
And he told me about like releases that they were gonna have, and this is big time. Like AOL Instant Messenger was around as well, right?
Okay,
so,
cool.
like, I connected with a lot of people through AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah.
Like Fresh and Stacker and
Sick.
Skynet.
Yeah.
Cause for Concern.
Damn.
Gridlock.
Had your connections from the start.
Well, it was like
until that whole thing went down.
Because there was another crew of us who who would share like, oh, by the way, I found out what such and such is like, AOL handle is, and you literally just like message them.
Yeah.
Be like,
now we've got the fucking Excel spreadsheet of.
You got Excel spreadsheet. You got Instagram, right? Like sliding into their DMs.
No,
like,
man. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, you can message everyone now on Instagram.
But it was.
True.
It was fun times, man, and.
Fuck yeah, man.
I love it. It was. I connected with a lot of people from Australia actually through that, and that's kind of how I ended up coming out here.
Yeah, right.
So that's a whole other story though.
Yeah, right. So you didn't come with like family or anything. You just
I just came out here on a holiday and
loved it.
Like caught up with some friends who were in the D&B scene and ended up kind of staying.
Sick.
So yeah,
I'm glad you're here, man.
Likewise, I'm glad you emigrated from South Africa.
That's it. And then our paths crossed in drum and bass. I was just checking the camera. We've got like 2 minutes before it fucking turns off.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for coming on, man.
Yeah,
this has been a good little chat.
Yeah, it's been
catch up.
We've done like 2 hours or something.
I think so, but I will be honest. The first 10 minutes did not record. But we've got about an hour and a half of recording. So that's
yeah.
But yeah, the first 10 minutes I fucked up and I forgot to push record on the audio.
I was thinking like we might have a chat for 2 hours, and what if you don't record it?
We didn't properly start. We just kind of got into it.
We just started talking,
and then I was, and that's kind of what I wanted, but I forgot to. I should have just recorded it from when we sat down.
No, it's all good, man.
But
it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been good. It was a good chat, and we'll do it again and chat some more shit.
Absolutely.
Fuck yeah, man. Anyone listening? Swurv coming up. You got Overview. When is it?
Overview Saturday, 22nd of March.
Skeptical
at 201, and then Skeptical Sunday the 30th of March, also at 201 below.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So come on down, represent.
That's it.
Throw some shapes. We want to get a good little vibe.
Fuck yeah, man.
Thanks for having me.
Sweet. Big ups, dude.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone listening, and we'll be back.